Buongiorno a tutti, io sono Maxence Dinant e sono molto felice di essere qui con voi adesso per questo Raffles Talks. Io non so per chi non mi conosce, sto insegnando al Raffles nel Master in Fashion Design e ho una carriera, diciamo, di quasi 20 anni alle spalle nel settore della moda. Ho lavorato per brand come Alexander McQueen, Jill Sander, sia con Jill che con Raf Simons. Ho lavorato da Dolce Gabbana, Salvatore Ferragamo e varie altre aziende della moda e del lusso e del Made in Italy. Da circa 5 anni adesso ho iniziato un percorso nella recitazione, non che mi fossi stancato della moda, ma avevo semplicemente bisogno di nuovi input e quindi mi sono buttato nella recitazione. Sono andato a vivere 2 anni a Los Angeles per formarmi e poi sono tornato in Italia. Ho trovato un agente a Roma e quindi in questo periodo divido il mio tempo tra la recitazione per la televisione, il cinema, il teatro e per quanto riguarda la moda ho deciso di insegnare perché mi sembrava anche un peccato buttare via, non so adesso se dovrei continuare in italiano o in inglese, mi è venuto il dubbio. Maybe I should go on in English, probably. Yeah, sorry about that. So my name is Maxence Dinant, and I'm a teacher at Raffles. And just to make a long story short, I started my career as a fashion designer, and now I split my time between acting and teaching fashion. Today I'm here with a very dear friend of mine, Benedetto Boccuzzi, and I'm going to let him introduce himself right now.
Thank you, Maxence, very much for this invitation to this talk, and I'm very, very happy to share this little moment with you. And I am Benedetto Boccuzzi, and I am a pianist and composer. And my research in the musical field is it's wide, and I try to reach the entire spectrum of the musical composition and knowledge. So I am very interested in music from the Baroque era to till the music of our times. I am very interested in contemporary music and in young composer. And as a composer myself, I am very interested in research and finding out new ways to challenge my creativity. For my biography curriculum, maybe I will be very short. I've studied at Conservatorio di Monopoli in Puglia with teacher Roberto Bollea, which I appreciate very much for all his knowledge that he gifted me. And after I continued working and studying in Spain and Portugal and in other places in Italy. And now that's it. I'm living this quarantine, trying to understand how to let my artistic life survive to this moment and finding new connections, projects, and links.
Thank you, Benedetto. And so you're probably wondering why and how the two of us met. So last year I did a play in Rome, which was the Salome from Oscar Wilde, and the director insisted to have it performed in French. So he was looking for French-speaking actors in Italy, and so I was approached to play the part of a young Roman soldier, which I don't think I really have the physique du rôle, but it was a very, very interesting experience. And when I was presented with the project, I was told that there was a composer working on an original track for the play. So there would be a live performance by a musician while we were acting. It was not a musical, it was the play. It's just that, like in a movie, when you get music to sort of follow the actions and the images, we had a performer on stage. And that performer was Benedetto. So I will explain you a little bit more about how we met and how this friendship developed. But before going on, I suggest that you look at a little trailer of the play to get you an idea of what the play looked like. Unfortunately, you're getting to see through our YouTube trailer, so obviously the quality is not like the actual live performance, but I hope you still enjoy it and get an idea of what we did together.
Ne s'est jamais donné aux hommes comme les autres déesses.
Il est venu, le Seigneur! Il est venu, le Fils de l'homme!
Yes. C'est un prophète. Quel est son nom? Yochanan.
Ange du Seigneur Dieu! Que fais-tu ici avec ton glaive? Où t'y cherches-tu dans cet immonde palais? Le jour de celui qui mourra en robe d'argent n'est pas encore venu.
Je suis Salome, fille d'Hérodias, princesse de Judée.
Ariel, fille de Babylone. La lune a l'air très étrange. N'est-ce pas que la lune a l'air très étrange?
Il n'y a rien au monde de si blanc que ton corps.
J'ai vu cela. Dieu est terrible. Il brise les faibles et les forts comme on brise le blé dans un mortier. Moi, cet homme n'a jamais vu Dieu. Personne n'a vu Dieu depuis les prophètes.
Je blesserai ta bouche, Yochanan. Je blesserai ta bouche.
César! César! Ce que vous voudrez, juste la moitié de mon royaume, je vous le donnerai si vous dansez pour moi. Salome, dansez pour moi.
Je veux qu'on m'apporte présentement dans un bassin d'argent.
Dans un bassin d'argent, oui, certainement. Elle est charmante, n'est-ce pas? Qu'est-ce que vous voulez qu'on vous apporte dans un bassin d'argent?
La tête de Yochanan. C'était dit.
Je te donnerai tout ce que je possède, sauf une vie. Je te donnerai le manteau du grand prêtre. Je te donnerai le voile du sanctuaire.
Tu n'as pas voulu me laisser baiser ta bouche, Yochanan. Eh bien, je la baiserai. Maintenant, on dit que l'amour a une âcre saveur. Mais qu'importe, qu'importe. Je baisais ta bouche, Yochanan. J'ai baisé ta bouche.
indeed. So this was the trailer of the play we did together, Salome by Oscar Wilde, which was directed by Michele Suozzo last year at the Teatro Palladium in Rome. So I hope you managed to recognize and to see Benedetto sitting at the piano and playing while we were performing and trying to give all sorts of to translate the emotions of and not only the emotions, everything, just like in a movie, right? When you know something's gonna happen just by that little music that's starting, that was Benedetto's job. And I have to say that I didn't get to meet Benedetto until one of the last rehearsals that we had. And then finally one day there was the piano to perform with us in rehearsal. And I always thought it was only going to be piano, just classical piano music. And then you heard the performance by Benedetto. It's far from being traditional, it's quite experimental, and it sounds very often also like percussions. So he was sitting at the piano and I was hearing percussions and I couldn't quite understand how that worked. So during a break, I went over to him and I said, you have to tell me how you're doing this, because it sounds like you're playing the drums, but you're playing the piano. And so I'm going to let now Benedetto explain you a little bit how he created this soundtrack for Salome, how he modified his piano, and most of all, most importantly, how he translated the written text by Oscar Wilde into his music.
Oh, thank you, Maxcence, for your words. And actually, there are several points to talk about on this Salome. And I will start thanking Michele Suozzo for the opportunity he gave me to do this immense work that is Salome, because I was fascinated with Salome since I was much younger than now, and really it was one of my favorite texts of theater of all times, because it's so rich and so subtle and so full of little details that can be highlighted. So I followed this kind of path in my research. First of all, there is the extended techniques in the piano, what you were talking about, the sounding like percussion in the piano is a big achievement of the 20th century and 21st century research in music composition. And actually, I devoted my master's degree dissertation on doing a catalog of extended techniques, and the chapter was called "Signori, il catalogo è questo," as homage to Mozart catalog, and so this kind of techniques are a very important part of my musical expression, and I wanted really to use them to highlight certain things. Beginning from the beginning, I wanted to do this kind of work. I wanted to bring with the music the meaning that was sometimes subtle or not said by the words. So I tried to give to every character, every principal character, a kind of ambient, a kind of sound that will be very recognizable throughout the play. And actually the text of Wilde, it's very, very musical, because he works with words as composers work with notes and sounds, because you have all these repetitions, these little words that come in several different places and repeat in different matter with different rhythmical overview, over whatever. And so we had, with Michele, we worked on these particular words as the word the moon, la lune, and the blood, and the wind, and jewels. So all of these words had some really distinct color for me, and I tried to translate them in music. So what I did after was composing the score as if it was a melologo in Italian, melologue. So you have the spoken words that are put inside a partiture, and my partiture, a big part of the music was written in a canovaccio. I don't know how to say canovaccio in English, as like in a big I don't know how to say it. We will find the way to say it after.
Like a draft?
Yeah, like a draft, precisely. I had all this music in a draft format, and after I was improvising with the motives of the different moments that I decided. So the formal structure was already built before the performance, but the actual music was always fluid and changing for the different parts of the performance. And the only really strict piece that I composed note by note was the dance of Salome, which we will give a link to at the end of this talk to see it, performed by the fantastic Alessia Danna, that was our Salome in this production, and very sexy Salome. And that was an actual piece of music really written note by note. The other 1 hour and a half of music was improvised on a draft and organized with the form of the speech of the different words. So that's all. I missed something, Maxcence?
No, to me what was really fascinating, but that's probably because I didn't know about it, and I'm sure that some people that are listening to us now might know how that works. But basically, Benedetto put keys in he had like a piano à queue, right? A grand piano.
Yeah.
He opened it, and then he was putting like chiodi, like screws, nails. He was hammering on it with like screwdrivers or little like gummy paste, like these little chewing gum erasers. He would wrap around the chords. So to me that was super fascinating because of the way that it completely changed the sound of the piano. Like he would hit a note, and instead of the note you would hear, and it was like, I was like, it's supposed to sound like a piano, you know? And it sounded like wood or like, so can you just briefly say a few of these things tricks you use to manipulate the piano to achieve the sound that you want to have for that moment in the play?
Of course. So as I told you, a big part of these techniques are in the normal use in the contemporary music composition of today and of the last 30 years. They come from the very deep research of composers as Cage and Cowell and Crumb and many others. So I I had, for example, patafix, as you said, this gum paste to mute the sound. So you will hear the sound of the wood of the and not of the actual string vibrating. And after I used some glass to have glissandi, to have this to create what we then decided was the sound of the wind and of the angel of the death. So we had all these glissandi with with the glass on the string on the piano, off the piano, and after very simple technique as simply playing directly the strings in the piano or just doing a glissando. Sorry for the gestures, but actually they are very explanatory. And many other little techniques that all combined create this very extended sound. So the piano, it's not a piano anymore, but is like a consort of very different instruments. And for the dance of Salome, I did just this. I was imagining that there was a little percussion orchestra. So I had different registers of the piano prepared in different way. I had some basses that were prepared with this gum, so they were like they were more muted than usual basses in the piano. And there were this glass that was not anymore glissando, but it was just standing in the middle, gave me this like almost sitar sound in the middle, very metallic. And after, as you said, the sound of the wood, I've put some gum in the really high register, actually the last 3 notes of the high register, so I could have this like nacchere, I don't know how to say it, like this castañuelas. And in that context, I built up the percussion part until the piano could enter and be highlighted as a piano, because in the dance there is actually the piano part that after 1.5 minutes of percussions, the piano comes out as a piano. And actually as a very concert piano, I had to study very much the dance of Salome, and at one point I was like, oh my god, you composed this for yourself, you could have do it just a little bit less challenging. Yeah. But it was nice to be challenged by myself, even because that's the way to move on and research and, I don't know, hopefully get better.
Exactly. And I was so inspired by the work that you did and impressed also because I didn't know nothing about this way of handling a piano, that I kept looking for an opportunity to work together with Benedetto. And then last year I did this class for the master in Raffles on the creative process in the arts. I was just trying to actually seeing the way that Benedetto handled a piece of theater, the Salome, how he transformed the words or what was not written between the words, how he transformed that into music, I found very, very interesting and very inspiring. And I was like, wait, but that is exactly what I do when I design clothes. I start from my research, from images usually, but sometimes it can also be a movie, it can be a book I've read, it can be just about anything. But then with my own tools and my own creative process, I transform this into clothing. And it's the same thing that I do with acting. You get a written character, you get your text, your lines, a description of your character, but then you as an actor have to create it, to bring it to life, to give it something that only you as an actor can create, to bring it to life and to make it unique. You know, sometimes there are people that ask me, oh, it must be really hard as an actor for the competition, you know, because there is not many of you and there is lots of even less parts to be played. And I don't agree, because I think that every part is meant for one actor, and that is actually your challenge, to find that part within you and to bring it to life. And so when I thought of making that workshop last year, well, it wasn't a workshop, it was my class for the master, I invited Benedetto to come to class and to tell the students about his creative process, his way to translate words into music. And it was actually quite a success, because he actually composed some music with our fashion students. So for them, it was very new, it was very unexpected, but they actually got to express their creativity to a totally new, with a totally new tool to them, and with quite a good result. So we're going to share a little video with you now of Benedetto's work with them, and then Benedetto will explain to you how he did it, or they did it.
Yes, I'm very excited to see again this video, because of course this video is a reportage. It's many parts of the day that we passed together with the students during the workshop, and just put together one by one. So I was like trying to remember and to see what caught my memory. And yes, this workshop was really fun, because the guys were it's not simple to present a workshop like this, because it has to begin from the question on what is music and what is not music. And if everything is music, acoustic or not everything is music, and what is sound and what is noise. So we just passed the first part of the workshop talking about the same experiences in the different artistic environments, and so we talked about avant-garde. You in fashion, you use much more the word avant-garde than we do in music. We use the word avant-garde in music for 1920, but I don't know, maybe you use it just a bit more on. So we were trying to talk about what is going towards the boundary of avant-garde and experimentalism, and we had a little hearing moment, listening activity, where I just shared with them some of these sounds, because actually just letting them listen some little excerpt from pieces of the contemporary music production, they were immediately involved in the creation of these new sounds and gestures. No one of them would have wanted to play on the keyboard anymore. And after we passed on a more practical part, we did the work of translating musical gestures that we can call only gestures, because it's like dancing, it's like performance, it's a gesture. It's not what the sound is only, but it's the where it comes from the body, and how to translate it into a sign. So I didn't give them signs for write the graphic score. Yes, because we did graphic scores, as now I will tell you, but we decided together which one of these gestures will be which one of these symbols or signs from which we could have a grammar to write a graphic score. So I did a little trick, because I let them all write a graphic score on a piece of paper, but after they were done, I changed the pieces between them. So everybody was not playing their piece, but were playing the piece of the other person. So I think that was a good point to understand how the grammar was common, even if it was a very new thing to them. But since they worked together to create the graphic symbols, they were able to play the scores of their fellow students. And I was really happy, actually. And so this work, just when this work it's very simple with children's, because children's don't have barriere. They don't have prejudice. Children are very free. If you say to us children, look, everything is music, the children will say, yes, actually everything is music. With adults, it's a bit more difficult. So even more, I was really, really happy to see the response I had from them. What was you asking me, Maxcence?
No, it's just from a very practical, from a practical side, right? So you said if you design a square, this will be like you use the glass on the strings. If you draw a triangle, you will put the patafix on the chord, or you will. So that's because of course none of them, I think, knew how to play music. So you had to find a way for them to write the notes they would play, the sounds, the gesture that would be universal and easily understood, right?
Yes, but I will say there is a big part of the musical professionals that investigate, you don't know if you can say in English investigate, that research graphic scores. So there are many professional composers and professional musicians who write and interpretano play graphic scores. So it is not something only didattico. Oh my God, sorry. But it's actually a common practice in music and in experimental music. But of course, it is very much simple to get somebody to understand it, because it's very few symbols for very few gestures. And actually the symbols, and for this I am always saying that they were really, really great. The symbols were not just put it on a piece of paper like random. They had to follow the sequence of the different symbols. So they were actually reproducing a score from left to right, from low keys to upper keys. So it was very consistent, their decoding the score. They decoded the score in a very consistent way. And after this, when they got more usual, even to the gestures and the sound, I just let them improvise. Oh, and one, I have to say, we did single piece, single score, single player scores, but we did even trio scores. So we had 2 trios that were playing in a score, and even there where they knew precisely who will play what at which point. So they were following really what was happening on the score. And after I let them free, we did improvisation. So we did conducted improvisation, where I was calling out the person who was supposed to interact, but even free improvisation. And some of these, the part of the video we seen, it's free improvisation. They just really invented the music at the moment.
And then it's really about what you feel in that moment and how you translate it in the music, which is in the end, you know, it can be improvised, or it can be thought out and then performed. But it was actually really nice for me to see the video again, because I think it was one of the highlights also for the students to explore this totally new territory. And maybe, I don't know, maybe some people that are watching want to ask some questions. But in the meantime, maybe we just want to say that we regret a bit, of course, the quality of the audio. Yes. It was one of the big issues that Benedetto was saying. It was like, I'm not going to perform live because I just can't stand the quality of the sound. And this, you know, it's interesting in these times where, you know, the theaters are closed, and you know, the orchestras are playing from home, and the models are. There was this fashion show last week, last Friday, which was a bit awkward, because, you know, there is only so much you can do virtually. I mean, you can get to it. Of course, you can listen to amazing recordings of opera from home. Or now people have these huge projectors so they can watch movies at home, but a live performance, same thing for a fashion show, is a different experience. And so we had a little chat about that, Benedetto and I, about how, yes, this quarantine has helped us understand many new ways of communicating and sharing, but it also has its downsides. Right, Benedetto?
Yes, yes. And I want to spend just some words on this subject, because in these 50 days of quarantine, I fortunately had the chance to speak about this issue with many peoples from different parts of the creative artistic life and output. And really we passed, or actually now I have to say, this is my opinion, we are challenging ourselves to find new ways to let this online life happen and work. But really I think it's a good moment even to try to understand what is that makes live performance what it is. And this is a good moment to reflect on this. So I was a little bit, I wanted to be funny when I told you that I was not performing, but really I am a bit worried that all the work that a professional artist does for years to build up a certain quality, to build up a certain sound, you know, in the music, in the classical music, we say, oh my God, this sound has to be just a little bit more round, and oh, please put a little hint of watery and just a little bit more of brilliance on one sound. And after you do this for 10 years, and you have this Instagram live stream where it's all like a percussion concert. So I will even say that even for this little extract we produced, I hope that if people find it interesting, they can go and watch it in a little more high quality that is online on the social medias. And but yes, this is a great moment to think about this, because for me precisely, and I was telling you about the fashion show before knowing, you remember, before knowing that there was supposed to be this online fashion show, I told you, could the fashion industry survive without live sfilate? How do you say sfilate? Without live fashion show? Could the fashion industry survive only with catalogs? And this is the same question for the concert practice. Can music live only in discs? Or we really need to have an audience? Because and this was a question that I made to my pupils, my piano pupils. I told them, which is the difference from playing an instrument and being a musician, a concertist? And here there is a big difference, because being a musician involves a performative part, a communication with the audience, a communication with the ambient, with the acoustic of the room where you are playing, with the time of the day, with what you ate in the morning, with what you are feeling, what are your problems of your life in that precise moment, that is very different from doing a video, or even worse, doing a live with infrastructure, with very bad infrastructure. I'm seeing untuned pianos all over the place, and very bad microphones, and very bad. So yes, as a social thing, as a social communication moment, it's fantastic that we share art, we share music. But as an artistic research and development and improvement, I don't think it's that useful. It is useful because everything is useful, but it's not so rewarding. It's after you feel a bit like you see, even the Salome we just let this audience watch. Of course, I think we feel a bit like it was so nice in live. The theater, the acoustic, the piano, the persons, the speech. That is, it's just a little palliativo. Come si dice palliativo? Just a little, like little sweet for this ugly moment. And sorry, I was talking too much. You wanted to say something else?
No, but I mean, what you said in the end, it is, you can apply it to all art forms, right? It's like you can have all these tutorials on how to prepare a dish at home, but it's never the same than eating it at the chef who's made it, right? I've got a friend who's been posting all these videos on Instagram of him cooking all these amazing dishes. I've tried too, and then I said, basta, you know, it never looks and probably never tastes the same. But you know, it's yes, this virtual life, like you said, it's a beautiful thing to share, but the experience somehow it has to. We need to find a way to experience these things live, and same thing for the fashion show. And I think that the fashion industry has gone a bit over the top in the last few years with the fashion shows, having fashion shows every 3 months all over the planet for very little, in the end, I think also return in terms of sales and everything, because they're for a very limited audience. So, but you know, there are fashion movies that are being made, fashion films. I've seen brands that are, or I know brands that have a few things in mind to kind of revolutionize their way of communicating. The good thing about fashion is that you always get, you know, to in the end to touch a big deal is a big part of the thing happens. The magic happens when you touch the piece and when you put it on. So that whether you're home or in a store, that experience should remain. In terms of fashion shows, I think that maybe fashion films, like some brands have already made them, could be a good option, or God knows, you know, what they're thinking about. I don't think that what we saw last week was a solution, but it was a nice little social moment for the fashion community. I don't know if there are some questions, or if maybe we...
And I will say just one more thing about what you were saying about the fashion movie, that I don't know what it is, but I would like now to go and see more. That I was talking about this with a dance a choreographer that I work with, and I was telling her, look, there is a way how to do very high quality things in the different mediums. For example, the movie on the documentary on Pina Bausch Dance Company, it's something that is amazing because it is prepared and montato and construct in a way that you have real shows that are cut and put into a documentary. You have a real audience, real life of artists. So, of course, there is a way for sure to keep the quality high and to do things in another medium that may be the, as you said, the fashion movie, or I may say in the music industry, the simple, very simple disc, you know. When you do a disc, you're not doing a live performance, but you are trying to achieve that really, really high quality that you will want to achieve in a live performance. So, yes, just I wanted to say this last thing.
So, okay, this is, we've come to the end of our talk. I hope you enjoyed, and we're going to post a couple of links so you can see the dance of Salome and watch it at home and listen it with the right quality and hopefully enjoy it as much as possible. And also a link to see Benedetto perform outside of Salome, so you can also get an idea of what he sounds like for his own work. And as far as I'm concerned, I really hope you enjoyed it. You got a little insight on everything that can be done and how limitless creativity is, and how important it is that we have these dialogues between artists, these exchanges, especially when it comes to education and youth, to stimulate, to look and think out of the box, and to keep researching and pushing their creative boundaries. Probably now there's a big challenge, appunto, like we said, on how to express ourselves even if we have to stay home. Benedetto, do you want to say something, to say goodbye?
Yes, I just want to say goodbye and thank you very, very much for inviting me and having me here in this Raffles talk. And that's it. Bye bye.
Grazie. Thank you.